the night of June 5th, 1947, a violent storm raged on in the Roswell area of New Mexico, the citizens unaware of the mysteries the storms would bring to the town. The next morning, a cowboy named W. Mac Brazel, in the city of Cornea, about 45 miles north of Roswell, went to check on his sheep as something could have happened to them the night before. There, he discovered unusual debris, which he then collected and brought to the Roswell sheriff, George Wilcox. The sheriff, not all that interested in some debris, called the Roswell Army Airfield in case the debris turned out to be an airplane crash. And intelligence officer Major Jesse Marshall ended up directing the recovery of the debris. On July 8th, 1947, a press release stating that the government had uncovered a flying saucer was released by public informant officer Lieutenant Walter Hott, I believe is how you pronounce that, under the orders of base commander Cole William Blanchard. But weirdly enough, the next day, another press release came from the base, this time from General Roger Ramey, stating that it was a high-altitude weather balloon. This incident would become widely known as the Roswell incident and would be closely tied to conspiracy theories for decades after, especially fueled by the flying saucer craze that the US and other countries were under at the time of the incident itself. Because of the continuing UFO craze and conspiracy theories about what really happened at Roswell, Jesse Marcel, now a retired Air Force officer, claims that the Army's weather balloon story was a cover-up, and he speculated the debris was of extraterrestrial origin in 1978. There were also accounts from Glenn Dennis, a former funeral home worker in Roswell, that came out in the 1990s. Glenn claims to have received a call from the Roswell Air Force in July of 1947. He says they were asking for child-sized coffins and advice on how to preserve dead bodies. Glenn also claims that he knew a nurse that oversaw an alien autopsy in the airfield. While some pass off Glenn's accounts as false, others, such as James Clarkson, a former detective and military police officer who had spent a lot of time interviewing Glenn before he died, believes that Glenn is a reliable witness. Eventually, in 1994, the US revealed that the balloon was part of a top-secret project called Project Mogul, which sought to detect Soviet nuclear bomb tests. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pazuru, and here on the channel we investigate anything spooky, cryptic, mysterious, or morbid. Let's start off the video by saying I am very sorry that I have not been uploading. I am a professional procrastinator and professional at avoiding my responsibilities, so anyway, before we get on with the video, just the usual stuff. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Blah, blah, blah. You get the drill. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, now if you haven't guessed already, this video is going to be about aliens. No shit, Sherlock. Shut up. Anyways, aliens are defined as any living creature not originally from Earth. With this, anything from bacteria to actual intelligent life could be categorized as an alien as long as it's found anywhere outside of Earth. Now, while in the past, the US government has tried to hide the idea of aliens from the general public, the government has, as of late, basically confirmed the existence of extraterrestrial life forms. For this video, however, we will specifically be focusing on aliens that have supposedly made their way to Earth. I'm going to start with what kind of aliens there are said to have visited Earth, as there have been claims to be several different kinds of aliens that have come here. First and most famously, we have the Greys, which are suspected of being the type of alien found in the Roswell crash. The Greys are, well, gray-colored humanoids that are usually about 3 feet tall, hairless with large heads, and black almond-shaped eyes, which take up a good portion of that big head. It is said that they have nostrils without a nose and slits for mouths with no ears. They are said to only have 3 to 4 fingers. These aliens are also said to be the ones that we have the most contact with. Next up, we have the Flatwoods Monster, which are tall humanoids with heads shaped like a spade. These are a type of alien that are said to have landed in Flatwoods, West Virginia, which we will talk about later on in the video. We'll get deeper into it. Now we have the Hopkinsville goblins, which are small greenish silver humanoid creatures which terrorize Hopkinsville, Kentucky, which we will also talk about later on in the video. We also have the Nordic aliens, which are seemingly the most human out of all of these aliens, with stereotypical Nordic features, which is why they are called Nordic aliens. Next up is the reptilians, also known as the reptilioids, which are exactly what you would expect. They are lizard people. Next up, we also have the rods or the skyfish, which are rod-like artifacts that appear in photos, but let's be for real, guys, these are probably insects. Anyways, there are also cryptids, which is like the Mothman, Jersey Devil, Loch Ness Monster, which are all hypothesized to be of alien origin by some. Next up, we have the Dover Demon, which is a small humanoid creature similar to that of the Greys, but with glowing eyes and skin more similar to the color of human flesh rather than being gray. Finally, I'm going to add a theory here instead of a type of alien because it's kind of in a similar ballpark when we really look at it, which is the interdimensional hypothesis. This theory proposes the idea that UFO sightings are actually the result of people experiencing an other dimension that coexists along with our dimension. This basically suggests that other dimensions are kind of bleeding into our own dimension from time to time, meaning these aliens wouldn't be extraterrestrial visitors, but actually extra-dimensional visitors. So yeah, a very interesting hypothesis in my opinion. So basically all of these aliens that we previously have talked about, maybe they're not even from our universe, maybe they're from a different dimension, is basically what it's saying. And I thought it'd be interesting to at least add to this conversation that we're having today. And yeah. Since we technically already talked about the Greys with the Roswell incident, I'm gonna move on to the Flatwoods monsters. But before we get into the Flatwoods monsters, let's talk about the sponsor of this video. My friend Tare. This friend keeps harassing me about aliens and conspiracy theories and telling me to make videos on them, even going as far as to bribe me for an aliens video. So this one's for you, buddy, okay? Fuck you. LOL, no, actually, I love this guy. He's great. I love you, buddy. I mean everything I just said in the nicest way possible. This guy's like a little genius, and it's so interesting to pick at his brain sometimes. And thank you very much for sponsoring this. Okay, thank you. On to the video. Yeah. Anyways, back to the Flatwoods monster. The Flatwoods monster, also known as the Braxton County monster, and the Phantom of Flatwoods, is a creature encountered after a reported UFO sighting. On the night of September 12th, 1952, Edward May, Freddie May, Neil Nunley, and Tommy Heyer were playing on the lawn of the Flatwoods Elementary School. While playing, the children spotted a bright light streak across the sky above them and watched it seemingly crash into the hillside of G. Bailey's Fisher's farm. The boys decided to see what had happened and stopped by the May's house to tell their mother, Kathleen May, what they had seen. Kathleen, upon hearing what the boys had to say, called the National Guardsman Eugene Lemon and their dog Richie to join the boys to where the object had crashed. Once they reached the crash, they witnessed a pulsing red light and a strange mist surrounding the area. Lemon shined his flashlight up the hill, and there they saw it. A 10-foot-tall creature that had a spade-shaped head and had what looked to be a dark metal dress-like attire on. Its eyes glowed orange, and it had twisted, clawed hands. The creature even appeared to be levitating off the ground. Eventually, the creature let out a hiss before quickly gliding towards the group. The party quickly fled in terror from the creature they had stumbled upon. After this encounter, some of the witnesses started suffering from throat irritation, vomiting, and nausea, which lasted for days. After the encounter, Kathleen and Lemon reported their findings to the police, but the police claimed to have found nothing when they went to search the area. Next up, we have the Hopkinsville Goblins, also known as the Kelly Hopkinsville entities, which were creatures that were encountered in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, with a reported UFO sighting. It all started on August 21st, 1955, when Billy Ray Taylor, who had been visiting from Pennsylvania, went outside to fetch water from the farm's well when he saw a circular-shaped object hover overhead before landing in a nearby gully. Taylor, now concerned, went back inside to grab a shotgun before heading back out to investigate. During his investigation, he encountered a goblin-like creature with huge glowing eyes and disproportionate hands. It also seemed to be wearing a metal plate. Taylor decided to go back into the house and grab another man, Lucky Sutton, who helped him with the creature. When one of the creatures appeared in the window, Sutton unloaded the shotgun, blowing out the window screen. The two then ventured outside to see if they had hit anything, when Taylor felt a hand reach down from the roof above and grab his hair. Eventually, Taylor got free and the two men went to look some more, only to find one creature in a tree and another on the roof of another house. Sutton fired another shot at one, but it didn't really seem to do any damage. After that shot, however, the goblins seemed to disappear. Sutton and Taylor took this as a chance to go back into the house and barricade themselves inside with their families until they got the chance to escape presented itself. Once the chance finally appeared, they drove to the police station, and at 11 p.m., the families arrived at the local police station in a highly agitated state. They told the police that they needed help, and they were fighting off goblins for almost 4 hours now. But once the police had arrived at the scene, they found absolutely nothing that would suggest the creatures were ever there, besides the blown-out window screen. Now we have the Nordic aliens, which, unlike the past two aliens we spoke about, are not associated with a specific area. These aliens are a lot less inclined to abduct or simply harass locals, though they have done some abductions here and there. One prominent abduction story is that of Travis Walton. Travis Walton was a 22-year-old when he and his 6 co-workers reported a UFO encounter in the Appalachian Graves National Forest in Heber, Arizona. I hope to God I said all of that right. Anyways, according to the witnesses, Walton approached the UFO when he was struck by a beam of light that came from the aircraft, which would render Walton unconscious. Walton's 6 co-workers ended up fleeing the scene, worried for their own safety, before returning to find Walton missing. They ended up reporting it to the authorities, and a 5-day search for Walton ensued. But it seemed like he had disappeared into thin air. On November 10th, however, Walton would reappear with fragmented memories of what happened to him over the days he was missing. He claimed to have regained the consciousness while inside the UFO, and there he encountered aliens that appeared to be very humanoid, with blonde hair and blue eyes. He claims they spoke to him telepathically and conducted medical experiments on him. He ended up losing consciousness again before waking up on a roadside near Heber. He would end up writing a book with a detailed account in it in 1978 called The Walton Experience. And now we have the beautiful, the stunning reptilioids, lizard people. God, I don't know why this is so funny to me. Anyways, the lizard people be like the Nordics, where they aren't really restricted to a specific area. One of the earliest reports of the reptilioids came with Herb Schumer. You know what? We're going with Schumer. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Maybe I'll put it up here. You tell me. You tell me if I'm saying it right. I don't know. I'm stupid. Anyways, on the morning of December 3rd, 1967, in Ashland, Nebraska, young police officer Herb Schumer, whatever, was in his car on police duty when at 2:30 a.m. he saw a strange object on the road ahead of him with flashing lights. At first, Herb assumed it was a truck, causing him to turn on his highlights. This caused the object to fly off into the sky, leaving Herb shocked. He would eventually realize that he had lost 20 minutes of his time, followed by headaches and buzzing sounds for the rest of the night. The next day, he found a red bump just below his left ear, which confused him so much so that he decided to seek help from a Dr. Leo Sprinkle, a psychologist who specializes in hypnotic regression. Under hypnosis, Herb would remember that his car radio and engine had crashed when he was nearing the strange object, and that a white object came out of what he now understood as a football-shaped spaceship and spoke to Herb telepathically, saying that the creatures on board the ship were from another world and that their job was to stop people from destroying Earth. The creatures that came out of the ship... Okay, first off, if they're trying to stop us from destroying Earth, they're a little too late on that. But anyways, the creatures came out of the ship after... and were, of course, the lizard people that were wearing coveralls and a winged serpent type of pin thing, I think. That's my understanding. I'm not really sure what their winged serpent came in, but it came in somewhere. They were, like, wearing it. So I'm just assuming it's, like, a pin or, like, some type of patch. Anyways, and these aliens ended up gassing Herb with green gas that caused him to pass out. So, yeah. Lizard people. I don't know. I'm gonna be so honest, though. If lizard people were to, like... to just take me, and whatever they told me on that ship, I would believe them for some reason. I don't know why. I don't even really like lizards. I only really like chameleons and Tonga. But, like... I don't know. I would just believe them. I would just believe the lizard people. The reptilioids. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Now, I'm not going to go further into the cryptids because, well, that's for other videos on this channel. Like the Mothman one I already have. You should totally go watch it. It's pretty good. I also have other ones, you know. I talk about cryptids a lot on this channel. Nudge, nudge. Please go watch more videos. Please, 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 please. Anyways, and I'm not going to talk about skyfish either because I'm not even going to validate that idea, because if you believe in skyfish, I just think maybe you should get some help. Just maybe. Just maybe. Because, like, if you can't see it with your bare eyes, but you think taking a photo of it's going to, like, it's going to be aliens, like, no, you probably, like, just captured, like, a bug flying past, okay? Like, I'm not validating this. But I will continue with the Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is a creature that appeared in Dover, Massachusetts, and it all started on April 21st, 1977, at around 10:30 p.m. when three 17-year-olds, Bill Barlett, Mike Mazoka, God, I should just not be reading people's names. And Andy Brody were driving north on Farm Street. Barlett, who was driving, spotted something by the wall of loose stones on the left side of the road. At first, Barlett thinks it may be a dog or a cat until his headlights finally shine on it, and it turns out to be like nothing he's ever seen before. The creature slowly turned its head to face them. It was a creature with a head so big it made up half of the creature's size. In his head were two wide, lidless eyes that shined a bright orange color. While its head was large like a watermelon, the rest of its body was thin, with large hands and feet. The creature's skin was hairless and a peach color, and it seemed to have a rough texture to it. It stood no more than 4 feet tall. The creature had been making its way along the walls, curling its long fingers around the rocks, when the boy shone the car light on it. Unfortunately for Barlett, God, why am I allowed to... Okay, anyway. Neither of his friends saw the creature, but Barlett kept driving past it without saying anything, but was visibly upset for the rest of the night. And on top of this, around midnight the same night, a 15-year-old named John Baxter left his girlfriend's house at the south end of a Miller High Road. Baxter starts to walk back to his own home When half an hour into his walk, he sees someone approaching him. He assumes the figure is his friend, M.G. Beauchard. I'm not even going to try. As the figure is short, and MG lives on the street that he was on. John calls out to the figure, but got no response. So they both continue to walk towards each other until the figure stopped. Baxter then stops as well and decides to ask who they are, as the night is making it hard for him to make out much of the appearance of the figure in front of him. As Baxter went to get a better look by stepping a bit closer, the creature runs off to the left into a shallow wooded gully and then up onto the opposite bank. Baxter decides to chase the creature, seeing it get on top of a rock. This is where Baxter freezes, as the silhouette of the creature, now no more than 30 feet away, was off-putting to him. Its feet molded to the rock in a weird way, and the creature's body reminded Baxter of a monkey, and its head was much too big. Baxter could feel the creature looking at him, and after a little, he felt uneasy. He decided to leave the creature alone, unsure of what it could do. While this creature isn't explicitly linked to aliens, I decided to add it here since I feel its description is so close to the Greys that I feel that they're somehow related. Like, I don't know if this thing is like a pet or a little Grey experiment. Like, I don't know. I feel like this creature is somehow linked to the Greys. Like, I don't know. There's just so much similarities between like their two appearances that my personal theory, it's somehow linked to the Greys. It's not a Grey because obviously it's not Grey. But, like, what if this is, like, a baby Grey or, like, a Grey pet or, like, a human Grey hybrid from their little experiments? Like, you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Can't tell me I'm wrong. Anyways, yeah. Finally, before we close out the video, I want to speak on the most famous and well-documented case of abduction. Betty and Barney Hill. Yeah, you thought I wasn't going to talk about them because I said I wasn't going to talk about the Greys anymore, but you were wrong. I proved you wrong. Here's more about the Greys. On God, I surprised you. Ha ha ha. I'm overreacting. You probably don't care. Anyways, on September 19th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were driving home from their belated honeymoon in Montreal, Canada, back to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. On their way home, they drove through the White Mountains of New Hampshire, where the couple noticed a bright light in the sky that appeared to be following them. The light seemed to grow brighter and brighter with every mile they drove. Barney, being a World War II veteran and a plane enthusiast, didn't think much of the light at first. He figured the light could not be coming from a commercial plane or a helicopter, but assumed it was just a satellite that had gone off course. But as the light just kept on following them, the couple grew curious enough that they decided to pull over and investigate. Ben decided to pull out a pair of binoculars and realized that the light was not a satellite, but actually some sort of object that was spinning in the air. This caused Barney some concern to grow in him because even though he was a pragmatic, intelligent man who was very skeptical of aliens, he had no other explanation for the craft that they were looking at. The couple decided to continue driving until they reached Route 3 in Lincoln. This is where the craft decided to hover just 100 feet above the car, causing Barney to abruptly stop the car. He decided to get out of the car with the handgun and ended up facing the aircraft as big as a jet but as flat as a pancake. Through the windows of the craft, Barney could see these gray beings who told Barney to put down his binoculars. He would try to raise his pistol, but he just couldn't seem to do it. Barney, now realizing the danger they were in, decided to run back into the car and speed off. But unfortunately for the couple, at some point in their escape, they heard beeping noises from their trunk, felt drowsy, and eventually lost consciousness. The couple ended up waking up in their house in Portsmouth the next morning, with no idea of what happened the night before. They noticed that Barney's shoe had been scuffed, Betty's dress had been torn, and both of their watches just seemed to have stopped working. Betty ended up going to the library to read about the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, also known as the NICAP, which is a civilian UFO group, and in her quest to figure out what happened to her and Barney. Betty also went as far as to report the incident to the Air Force, concerned about possible radiation. For the next few years after the abduction, the couple experienced nightmares and anxiety, and because of all of this, the couple began seeking a psychiatrist named Benjamin Simon, who helped them piece together what happened on that night. The Hills began to recall what happened to them through months of sessions and hypnosis. According to the couple's recollections, the UFO ended up landing on their car before putting them to sleep. Afterwards, they woke up to the gray creatures they had seen earlier had brought them onto the spacecraft. Inside, they were separated for testing. They were both told, while separated, to climb onto a metal table and remove their clothes. This is where the gray creatures started to pluck their hairs, take clippings from their nails, and peel off parts of their skin. These samples would each be placed on a glass slide. These gray creatures would also probe the couple with needles in their arms, their legs, and their head. And Betty recalls an additional needle being passed through her stomach as a pregnancy test of sort. Both Betty and Barty remember there being an alien who would watch from the side, who they deduced to be the leader of the bunch. When Betty was alone with said leader later into the abduction, she asked where the craft had flown to. And while under hypnosis, Betty was able to reproduce a star map that was shown to her when she had asked. It is to be noted that years after the abduction, a woman named Marjorie Fish was actually able to conclude that the star system was that of Zeta Reticuli, which is where she assumes the aliens are from. Anyways, that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching with me. Please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And please leave a comment down below on what you think. Have you ever seen aliens in your life? Have you ever been abducted by aliens? Oh shit, you tell me. I know I have seen aliens before. Nobody believes me though. Rude, but I've seen them. I've seen them. God, I was waking up early one morning for school, and even my parents saw them, okay? We saw a UFO above the lake, okay? And it left glowing clouds in the sky, okay? I'm not delusional, you're delusional. It's real. God. Anyways, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope all of you have a great night. I will see you next time, probably with a more murder themed video rather than a cryptid one. But yeah, bye!